Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good morning. Let me know if you can see and hear me properly, guys. Thought I'd start the stream a little bit earlier than I put up, simply because I was up a bit earlier. I was supposed to do a stream with the hamster, but we're having some technical difficulties. I don't know if it was my end. Not sure. So, sorry, hamster. We'll try again next week. How's everyone doing? Morning, Donna. Terrace. Professor Plunge. Alright. Maybe I should have just started at 12. Maybe a few people set their clocks for 12 o'clock and I'm being a bit cheeky and starting a bit earlier. So it's 12:30 in the morning in Sweden. So I suppose starting a little bit earlier for you guys in Europe is a bit better, so it's not in the middle of the night. Okay, Mr. Highways here. How are you, man? Hey, before I forget, let's I'll give you the How do I do this again? You're still moderator, Mr. Highway. I was going to put you as moderator, but I think it remembers the settings. So, cool, you still got the wrench. I didn't know it did that. I thought I had to do it every time. Anyway, enough of me blabbing. Not that I'll stop. I am doing a stream after all. It's an overcast, cool, coldish day here in Melbourne. Just the way I like it, really. You might think I'm weird, and I'll give you the temperature at the moment. The temperature right now is 18 degrees Celsius. On Valentine's Day, with a top of 20. Cloudy, overcast, which is good for lighting. So thank you, Key himself. Thanks for the super chat. He says, why is getting laid in the US so hard for the average men? Number of reasons. Take a look at primarily the way we get together. I mean, I hate to sound like the old guy saying back in my day, but it wasn't so long ago. The internet's fairly new in terms of a blip in history. Like, we used to get together, guys and girls, for many, many generations in similar ways, where it was like our group of friends that we trusted and were around and we respected each other, like the boys, or, you know, if you're in a group of friends, if you're a female, your group of female friends. So let's just say you're with your group of boys, you go out, you trust each other, you've developed a friendship and bond and trust, and then you go out and you meet another group of girls. You can't, if you treat them badly, or treat them like a kind of sly, conniving person, your reputation amongst your friends will be ruined, or they'll see this side of you. The group of girls that you've befriended as well, they'll see you, so your reputation's ruined. What happens these days is, because of online dating, you can pretend to be someone else. You can act like an a-hole. You can meet someone, you know, on the other end of town in another state, treat them badly, and then just ghost and disappear. What the internet and internet dating has done is allowed you to act and put on a persona and act in a fantasy realm. Whereas back when you used to meet people face to face, in your group of guys, you meet another group of girls, you had to be yourself. Your friends knew you, and if you treated the woman bad, your reputation would be ruined. Your friends wouldn't want to introduce it to anyone. They'd kind of, you might stay with your friends, but you'd be the guy that like, yeah, don't introduce human to anybody. And same with the girls. The girl couldn't be loose and sleep around with anyone or treat anyone badly. So it was this nice way of being honest. All right. Remember, guys, if you want to ask questions, bracket your questions. If you want to ask questions to me, bracket your questions with a lot of emojis, just so I can see them visually on the chat. I'll go through a few comments on the last video. By Kunashi on the video, How to Feel Better and Stop Chasing Women. He said, don't pursue happiness like it was a wild horse. Choose to build it yourself like a house and it will never leave you. That's actually a really good metaphor. I wanted to include that. You don't run after it. You stand still and you build it. It's like a garden. It's like a house. It's like something you create. It's not something where you don't exist and all you see is this prize you're running after perpetually. It's not a carrot. It's what you create. It's your home. It's your foundations. That's a really good way of seeing it. And it's all those kind of metaphors help orient you in a way where you stop pursuing or associating with it in an old way that didn't work. Like this perpetual running where like, oh, please, can I catch the train? Whereas this way, it's kind of you are the train. It's all about you and your life. D. Jesse says, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Thomas says, just about my, can't speak this morning, about my video, How to Feel Better and Stop Chasing Happiness. He says, just give the elusive expectations a big miss. What are expectations other than a thought put in your head by someone else? That's right. A lot of times we might think our values are ours, but we've probably been conditioned by people in our lives, family, or in a lot of cases today by the media. The emojis have gotten huge. Okay, unless there's any questions for me, I'll keep going to some more comments from the last couple of videos. Leon says, regarding my video, How to Feel Better and Stop Chasing Happiness, he says, if you don't have any expectations, you cannot be disappointed. Now, I wanted to put this up because it's technically true. A lot of people have very high, ridiculous expectations that might have been conditioned through them, again, by family, media, your friends, things that might not actually be you, but you're told to chase these things and adopt these things as part of your life. And after a while, you don't know that your expectations actually formed by you or are they by somebody else. And most of the time they are by other people. If you've gone on autopilot and the people like your family that have taken care of you, you respect and you love, you adopt their principles. You adopt their football team. You adopt their habits and routines. And, you can think back of how you grew up, what you watched on TV, where you went on holiday. All these things inform you and pattern who you are and pattern a lot of your likes. Similarly, the friends you decide to have or that just happen to come along your way, depending on where you were raised. It's a lot of it's just chance. But your expectations, it's a tricky one because you can set them really low and you won't live a great life, but you won't be disappointed. And this is the tricky thing, and this is why I wanted to include Leon's comment. It's technically true. You might have other people's expectations and high ones or ones that seem like there's something to reach for because you don't have any or don't have much of an idea, and you see, oh, this person's expectations or my parents' expectations, they seem good, they seem confident, I haven't got a clue. All right, I'll aim for those. They seem like they're good. It's kind of like when you're hungry, you don't know what your taste is and people keep offering you similar meals. You grow up eating the same food. It's like, yeah, cool, it tastes good. I love my family and the people around me. They keep offering me this food. My food is my expectations and this is my taste. This is what I like. But until you kind of start reflecting, self-reflecting, you might actually discover you don't. Your expectations might not necessarily be yours. Things that you loved once, you might actually just like or just think they're okay. It happened to me in the past where when I really started to self-reflect and find out really what my values were, what I did and didn't like. I remember beforehand, I think I've told this story maybe once or twice. I'm bad at this, but whenever the topic comes up, I just kind of regurgitate it, a lesson or a moment in my head. But I remember many, many years ago where I'd always, on a Friday night, I'd love to come home after work. I didn't want to go out and see anyone. My Friday night was to order pizza and watch a video on my own, right? And I still love doing that. But I remember I used to love, at the top of my tree, at the top of my pyramid, pizza was my biggest love in terms of food. Now, I still do really love pizza. But I remember it was more a comforting thing. I'd look forward to Friday being free, without work, without the world, and I'd watch a movie and I'd eat pizza. When I started self-reflecting and when I let that job go and balance my life better, where I wasn't working like a dog anymore, I started to realize I didn't love pizza. I really liked pizza, but I liked other things too. But sometimes you can put these things in place as life vests, as life rafts to help you. You don't really love the life raft, but it kind of helps you in certain situations, if that makes sense. So be careful with your expectations. If you don't have any or they're really low, you won't be disappointed. It'll be easier, but make sure they're quality expectations. Minimize and get rid of other people's or other expectations that are really just there to kind of to help you lean on them. They're not really things you value and that help you make life clearer, if that kind of makes sense. Mr. Highway says, if I binge on cheesecake, I know it's bad, but still, when I'm done indulging, I always feel like it's worth it. That's never how it is for SEX though. It's fun, but after it's over, I'm always disappointed. Yeah, that's a funny one for guys. I don't know, it's probably different for girls, but the moment after the money shot, man, it's like, oh, I want to be somewhere else if you're not with a person you care about. Also, tell me, is my audio clipping? Because I'm tickling the red here, but I don't want to be too low. Yeah, that's a great clarifier. If you ever think you really, really like a woman or you want to hook up or catch up with them, and it's not just SEX, right? Rub one out and see how you feel right afterwards. 9 times out of 10, you couldn't care less. But a person that's more than just a hookup, you still want to catch up with them. We'll see. Thank you very much for the donation. His comment is, I find at age 45, removing long-term relationships, that my overall happiness has increased. Less lows, less highs, but emotionally speaking, more consistently stable. That's a very good point, Will. People are always chasing game show-like highs. You know, social media type perfect photos, great teeth, bungee jumping style, jumping out of aeroplane exhilaration kind of highs. You can't maintain that, as I said in the recent videos, any more than you can redline a car and have your foot to the floor. You will blow the engine in a very, very short amount of time. So those moments when they come, they're very, very short. They're kind of welcome, cherries on top, but you should be looking for consistency and tranquility and peace. That overall is a happy life to me. But chasing kind of skyrocket happiness, you can't kind of do it. You can't sustain it. And say you do, that's your level for a short amount of time. Like someone, for instance, you hear people who are rock stars. People who are rock stars, and then they lose their fame. They get depressed because for a period of time they were up here in the stratosphere. And then when it's over, it's kind of like, I'm really depressed because my baseline was up here at a ridiculous level. You need to self-reflect and see what's a normal level for you. See what does it for you. I mean, what does it for me is just living a simple life. Here, let me get this off screen. Is just living a simple life. Things that I enjoy: family, friends, sleeping in, going for a drive, going for a jog, doing videos, creating things like that. It doesn't. It's not things that are Instagrammable. That's not my life. Fizzy X13, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it, man. Remember, guys, if you want to ask questions, make sure you highlight them. Pericosapian says, where do you regain motivation on a day you feel you don't want to do anything at all? I'd say move, do something small. Just go out for a walk and put headphones on. I've mentioned in a few videos, try and be able to do something enjoyable while you do something you know you should. So for instance, if you know you should exercise, download some podcasts or some videos in MP3 formats to listen to them because you know you enjoy it. Rather than sitting in front of the screen, listen to them in your headphones as you go for a jog or a walk. Make working out as easy as possible. So have weights at home, or if you need to do something or be productive, make it as easy as possible, like pressing a button. Don't make it an arduous task like planning a military operation. So how do you regain motivation? Don't look for motivation. Just look to do very simple things that you can pull the trigger on really easily. Like, you know, picking up a glass and taking a sip, or something that'll only take you literally 10 seconds to start or a second to start. So I don't want to wash the dishes. Just do it. It takes 5 minutes. I don't want to sit down and write. Just sit down for 5 minutes and give yourself permission to leave after 5 minutes if it doesn't work. And usually you stay. The hardest part is starting. It's a cliche, but it is the truth. Whatever you don't want to start, you're not motivated, just start it and give yourself permission to stop it after 5 minutes if you can't be bothered. Trust me, 95% of the time you stay. The hardest part is getting there. So just give yourself permission after 5 minutes that you can pull the switch, pull the cord and stop. Just don't worry about motivation. Starting is the problem. Donna, thanks for the donation. She says, do you think this lockdown will be over by midnight Wednesday or drag out? I can't do another 7 months of stage 4. I have no idea, Donna. You're talking to the wrong person. I'm kind of like a homebody who enjoys going out sometimes. The lockdown didn't really affect me that much. It was like a holiday for me, really. The only bad thing was that I was kind of restricted when I could leave home or when I could visit my family and things like that. But yeah, another 7 months, that was a bit extreme. Who knows with our Premier, Donna? Is a bit of a tool. So like, at least before, they'd give you a week or so notice, but this was like literally overnight. I had a message from friends saying, well, in a few hours we'll lock down for the next 4 or 5 days. I hope we don't go for another 7 months like last time. Charles says, I feel like I can't share the knowledge I get from your videos with my friends. I feel like I'll simply come off as a disgruntled divorced guy, so I remain quiet. It is the thing, if people don't want to hear, if they shame you, you want to kind of question who you open up to. Because if you really want to talk about something, your friends should recognize whether you're complaining or whether you're really trying to open up. People that just dismiss and you can't talk to. Look, I've got good friends that they're not into this stuff and they're not wired in a way that we can have a mutual beneficial conversation like this. And you can tell they're not being rude. They just don't know how to talk like this. They're not interested in it themselves. They don't have the mechanisms to keep the conversation going. Fine. But the people who actually shame you or make you feel odd, find people you can talk to. It should kind of tell you why you might have big problems in your life, because you're around lemmings and normies who don't care and they agree with everything the media says. They agree with everything gynocentrism says. And so talking to them is like talking to the problems where you came from your ex and all those sort of things. Falco, do you watch It's a Gundam? He references your videos a lot. Sometimes. I haven't watched him for a while. He seems pretty good, that guy. I like the way he kind of thinks. Ray Bode, what are your thoughts on Jordan Peterson? I think he's pretty cool. I like him. He's popular for a reason. I mean, you can sort of... Again, this is the thing. When you say you appreciate it or you like somebody, people kind of are very binary. They'll think, oh, well, the human's an acolyte. He worships at the shrine of Jordan Peterson. I don't. But I think he's overall... he's been beneficial to a lot of people. And what he's communicating. I mean, I don't know, recently he's had his problems, but just generally what the reason he became popular was a really, really righteous reason. So I overall respect the guy. I like what he has to say. Max says, human, your take. We're not in a relationship I wish I was, yet when in one I wish I wasn't. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just loneliness. It's not that you want to be in a romantic relationship and have all your time taken up by. It should make you think, why, when I'm with someone, which is usually someone wrong, you just find the first person who will fill up a big hole, as in your loneliness and the space where you don't know what to do. But then when you're with them, you feel like, no, this isn't for me. I want to be single again. So that should tell you that your friends, your lifestyle, your routines, your hobbies, your interests and stuff, maybe they're misaligned. And maybe you need to spend more time. It shouldn't be an either or. It's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde. Jekyll, I'm on my own. Hyde, I'm with someone in a relationship. It should be your Jekyll, and you're Jekyll everywhere. You're the same person in different environments. You know, you're the same you at work. Fair enough, you need to formalize yourself a little bit. You're the same you when you're with friends. You're the same you when you're with a lover. So I think you kind of maybe need to look a little into that a little bit. SAI, thank you for the donation. He says, appreciate the work you're doing. Thanks, mate. Thank you for the donation. Ellie Nope, thank you for the super chat donation. He says, have a good day, gents. Thank you for your work, human. Thank you for supporting me in my work too, man. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you want to ask questions, make sure you bracket them with a lot of emojis just so I can see them in the chat. Professor Plunge, thank you for the donation. He says, many men find success, increase their value, net worth once they stop chasing. What's the best advice for showing restraint, being humble around those who disregard your ability early in life? Yeah, that's a hard one, where, you know, you're invisible and then later on it's like, oh, now you want to be my friend. Now you want to date me. Now I'm worthy of your time. That's a hard one. The benefit is you don't just see the superficial, because they didn't superficially see you when you were just a human being with nothing. Now that you might sort of be successful. I experienced a little bit of that when I was younger, because when I was in my teens, you could call me... I was really embarrassed of my looks. I had very bad cystic acne. I was embarrassed to go out. Didn't go out with my friends that often. And when I do, I'd always kind of hide in the corner. I wasn't confident as a guy. When I got it treated and it cleared up in my late teens, early 20s, I also grew a few inches. I started working out, playing sport. I basically changed who I was. I transformed a fair bit. And I remember after high school bumping into one or two friends and they barely recognized me. I looked very different. And one or two cases, I remember one with a guy I knew in high school who was part of the jocks, and they made fun of everyone else, including me, all other groups. Then all of a sudden, when I met him in my early 20s and I looked very different, he was like, "Hey man, we should go out sometime." And I'm thinking, yeah, like you wanted to go out with me and pick up women when we were in high school. You were kind of putting down people like me. So it's kind of hard, but for your own sake, you don't want to be a kind of bitter guy kicking people back. If they haven't really done anything to you, if all they've done is ignored you, what the best course of action is, like, you've got the benefit of, I see it as, you might not have stepped into bear traps that you might have when you were younger, because now you've had time. You were there as an observer because you weren't good enough for people in certain ways and you didn't have social groups. But now, because of that, you learned to be on your own. You were the observer of others, yourself in relation, and now you're more mature in that. So you've got that distance, and now you can make decisions from a level of maturity, whereas a lot of them, they would have made mistakes. A lot of people got pregnant, married too early, married the wrong person, stuck in positions they can never get out of. So be humble and grateful, I'd say, because there's probably a lot of positives that you didn't get ensnared in all of that hooking up and a popular social group when you were younger, because the chances are you might have actually fallen off a cliff and you couldn't get back, and now you're in a position where you've got ex-wives and children and child support and made bad decisions that you can't go back from. So be humbled by the fact that, whoa, you probably missed a few bullets, but on the surface it looked like you missed out on a social life when you were in your teens. But maybe being on your own, you got to read more. You had more quality friends where you had discussions. It wasn't about the superficial biological sort of drive of just picking up and chasing people. So you've got the benefit of experience now and age, and seeing how people value others and how they didn't value you. Now you've got the truth behind you. It's not kind of clouded by superficial sort of success when you were younger. Anyway. More questions from the last videos. From Mr. Pace, how to feel better and stop chasing happiness. He said, chasing happiness is like chasing an endless summer. Yeah, this is a good analogy. It's not possible, and doing so will only lead to continual dissatisfaction with life. Happiness and all the other emotions come and go like the weather, and it's our own responsibility to keep moving towards our own direction, rain, hail, or shine. For me, having a direction and working towards it is fulfilling, and fulfillment leads to contentment. It's really well put, which is a more realistic and longer lasting end point than happiness. This is really, really good. A consistent direction that you love doing and how you like living is a great endpoint in that moment, because it'll always lead to that same endpoint that you know you've tested in the moment through sort of consistent routines that you love doing. It continues, for anyone lacking direction, get out the door and try new things and see what you like. The act of trying new things is a direction in and of itself. That was a brilliant comment. Thanks, Mr. Pace. Lean in the direction that makes sense to you and it feels really good. And chances are you'll grow in a direction that makes sense to you, rather than sort of playing musical chairs with people and places and things and never feeling satisfied. And then, you know what will happen? You get used to your personality being changing all the time, rather than getting to know yourself in one consistent direction and knowing, like, oh, this doesn't fit, but the direction seems good. There's too many people I see and people I've been out with where they don't know themselves. You can tell when you have a conversation with them, and you're effectively another holiday. And then when that's over, they go to another holiday, and they keep living in different places. for periods of time, not consistently in one place. And these are the kind of people who can't have long-term relationships, and they don't know who they are and how they want to have a long-term relationship. They just learn to recycle. You know, it's shopping, it's a holiday. New shoes, new holiday, new car, new whatever. It's like, what a tiring and wasteful way to live. Look, everyone's different. There's certain people that are just wired for continual variety. I'm wired for consistency. Hey Joe212 says, I cringe at the amount of bratty manipulative behavior I put up with from my ex. Once you red pill yourself, do you see many men that aren't even aware what they're putting up with? Oh yeah, all the time. And look, it's kind of like they'll justify it to you because it's too much of a confrontation to kind of realize this woman, these kids, this whole life, I want out. And you're just tolerating, just like a bad job. You're only staying for the money. A lot of people are just staying for the kids, or just staying because they don't know what else to do. If this wasn't here, they'd be floating in space with their eyes closed. It would be terrifying. JW says, I've been reflecting on last Valentine's Day when I was in a long-term relationship. It's very interesting that the Valentine's Day when she was at her worst was the Valentine's Day she demanded the most from me. Kubasniak, he asked, do you ever feel a need to give love to others? Yes. Do you believe in God? Not in the traditional way. I believe in things bigger than myself. I know a lot of people don't like that comment. They think I'm evading the issue. But when you ask most people what God is, the popular consensus, I don't believe in that. But I do believe in things bigger than me. Things I can't explain, etc., etc. So a human being's perspective and abilities is very limited. So it's a difference between, there's reality out there, but what I can see and what something or someone else can see is a difference between me being on the ground and being able to see what I see in front of me, and someone on top of a skyscraper above me being able to see so much more. So there are different perspectives, and I'll leave it at that. Falco Von says, what advice you'd give to a financially stable 29-year-old MGTOW guy who never wants to get married, but his very traditional parents expect to have many grandkids. They don't have much time left. Yeah, you can't sort of live your life for somebody else. Because you know what? Parents mean well. They think you'll be happy. But this is what happens, especially with traditional parents. They'll push you to get married. They'll push you to have kids. So, for instance, say you get married to the person they want you to get married to. Marry her, marry her, marry her. You get married and she's awful. And then they'll say, well, why'd you marry her? They won't take responsibility. Pardon me. And if you have kids, if you're miserable, you realize you've married the wrong person, you're not there for kids. Your mother will probably try and shame you, as in like kids are wonderful, because most women, kids are like, gold. But again, it's like, well, why'd you have kids? So it'll never be their fault. So don't listen to them. At the end of the day, they're not going to be responsible for them. They might get to visit them and take care of them and pinch their cheeks and stuff, but they don't have to live with it. It's like someone saying, get a yacht, get a yacht, get a yacht. But they're not the ones that have to pay with it and live with it and the expenses that go around with it, let alone asking whether you're into yachting. But no, you have to buy a yacht. Everyone's into yachting. What's wrong with you? Get a yacht and be a sailor. No. And if they don't love you because you won't change your life irrecoverably in a direction that you're scared to death of and is not you, don't do it. That kind of shows you if they love you for being a son, or with you when you're with this person. Yeah, I know biology, but you want people to accept you and like you for who you are. I hope that word salad helped. Boots Void. Hello, human. Excited about your Valentine's Day date? Joke. Any tips on controlling anger bursts? Practice. I tried breathing. It works as a remedy, but most of the time my impulse is quicker than my thinking. Well, maybe, look, that's always, I'm the opposite. I sometimes kick myself that I don't react quick enough. I've got one or two friends that really react quickly, but sometimes, like you said, they regret it afterwards because they're too quick. Some might say I'm too slow because if I'm confronted, I need to think about it and then formulate my answer and then kind of decide what to do or respond later. But sometimes it's just the way you're wired. But I would say if you can practice and train yourself to take a breath and not react straight away, as maybe a mental exercise of like, no, let me wait. So say, for instance, you were going to sort of make a sudden outburst and tell someone where to go. Stop yourself and say, okay, I'm still going to do that, but I'm going to formulate the best answer of telling them where to go. So make yourself pause is what I'm saying, if that's going to be beneficial. But fool yourself into thinking that you're going to demolish them even more if you give yourself 5 minutes to really think about things and how you're going to respond in a kind of manipulating yourself way to kind of pause before you talk too quickly, if that makes sense. Mr. Highway says, why do people struggle with the idea of categorizing coitus as a drug? It has the same effect psychologically and physiologically as any common opioid. When I bring this up, people disregard it though. Yeah, it's a strange one. You can kind of describe it, and the analogy is pretty apt, Mr. Highway, but it's how people see it. It's kind of like trying to describe to someone who's got kids just the basic biology of what kids are. But the meaning behind that to the person in it is very different. So it depends on how addicted the person is, their relationship to that opioid. So for instance, I don't get as addicted to food as most people. I'm fairly disciplined, but I've got a bit of a control freak aspect to me, right? Whereas other people don't. They're a lot looser. Some people are big risk takers. So it depends on how you're wired too. It depends who you're talking to. So it's a tricky one. It's not a one size fits all, but I get what you mean. Sometimes it's the way you can describe it. So if you can kind of, if you get to know what kind of language a person responds to, then maybe you can make them see or give them a light bulb moment of your analogy of an opioid being the same as coitus. But I don't know. Donna says, Melburnian blokes are thrilled with this lockdown for that reason. Valentine's Day is a scam. Okay. Nothing. Thank you very much for the donation super chat. His comment is, I get told I'm lecturing people, my family specifically. I know I'm smarter than them all. The conversations they want are drab and boring. Is there anything you do that I could use whenever they're killing me? Don't talk to them. Don't try and argue them. It's kind of like getting in a room and trying to argue with FEMinists. Two religions trying to convert each other. It's not going to work. You might as well change the topic. And have certain responses that you can say when you get in those situations. Like, look, I'm not going to speak to you unless you want to speak like an adult. You want to speak like a child, we can talk about something different. Or if you're not going to hear my point of view, if you're not going to respect my point of view, I don't want to talk to you about this. Let's talk about Big Brother. Let's talk about social media. And I'll get annoyed because they think they're smart. So calmly and maturely not to embarrass them, but to kind of force them to talk like an adult. And by what you're saying is smarter conversations are more adult orientated. Speak in a way that they see how juvenile they're acting. So if they won't, then you kind of go, well, as the adult here, I'm not going to engage with you. Let's change the subject. I'll watch TV. But don't pretend to be talking seriously about a topic like an adult when you're talking like a child. So as much as possible, if you kind of see, as the smarter person in the room, or the more awake person in the room, that the other or others are all your basic normie children, then don't engage on their level. Don't raise yourself above the level of the person or people you're dealing with. So as much as possible, disengage, change the topic, or find people where you can speak, who you can speak with. Remember to highlight your questions if you want to ask me a question, guys. Nellifi, also, what would men want on Valentine's Day? Not much. I think not busting a man's chops and probably sex, but that's it. Like, he probably just wants to sit at home and not do much at all. He doesn't want, most guys don't want to go out. They'd probably appreciate just staying home and eating in, to be honest. Most of the guys I know, maybe that's my small sample group, but Valentine's Day is primarily a commercial thing for women. Chromatic Soundco says, thank you very much for the donation. He says, human, I don't know if it's your brilliant articulation on things or just the Aussie accent. Either way, you illuminate many things. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, a lot of people don't actually think my accent's very good at all. I try and articulate well. Look, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I pick the wrong words, but I'm just going with my stream of consciousness. I like language. I like reading. I like writing. So a lot of that comes from that. Sakared 49. Where can men get help without being shunned? Know yourself better. That's why I say, like, self-reflection's good. Then you start developing your own language, you start writing down, then you start noticing it in people who are similar to you or that are simpatico with you, that you have a connection with, rather than trying to talk with everyone. And most people aren't like everybody else. They're a mishmash of media. So to find people that you can particularly talk to and open up to and find good friends with and connections with, you really need to kind of find them. And I don't want to sound corny by saying first you need to find yourself, but first you need to self-reflect and really develop and know your own moral philosophy. And then, and then you'll be able to much, much more accurately find it in others, rather than cross your fingers and just hope that the next person you waste your time with can be a person that you connect with, because most time you can't. Most time you pick someone just so you're not on your own. But if you get to know yourself, you alleviate that aloneness because you're getting to know you. And then when you meet the right people, you're getting to find similar, like-minded individuals. That's where you kind of have that good ambience in your life, a better warmth, rather than feeling cold and alone and singular and you're gasping for air. Yeah, chromatic sound. Let's get the likes up. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Help me out. Share my videos on your social media, guys. It's about the only way videos on my channel, my topics, are going to help the channel grow. Because think of it this way, like people who like introspecting, thinking philosophy, they're not the kind of people who are going to buy, 50 pairs of shoes and like 5 sports cars. They're not really consumer based. They're minimalists. They're philosophers. They like a simple, clear life. So it's harder to sell advertising on videos of mine. So the only way my channel is going to grow is by word of mouth. And if you guys can link it around, share it around, like it, hit the bell, always kind of help me keep the channel alive. If I was making cat videos and just purely entertainment based stuff, yeah, because there's no message in it. It's just emotional based entertainment and you can sell anything on it. But yeah, just think about what advertiser would really like to sell on my type of videos, because my audience is people who really want to think clearer, minimalize, get rid of residue, not consume very much, live healthier, lighter in all aspects of life. And that kind of goes away from consumerism. So yeah, hit the likes, share my videos around, word of mouth. Yeah, Valentine's Day is essentially a marketing ploy, pretty much. Black Magic 1087, a human. Did you ever find it harder to break up with an ex that you genuinely trusted as a person, more so than your other past girlfriends? That's an interesting one. When I was younger, yeah, because you kind of don't know yourself. Everything's just emotional. You just like the person, right? But when sort of late 20s, 30s, when sort of I was getting to know myself better, reading more, the exes that I trusted more and genuinely kind of loved because I knew myself better, when we broke up, it wasn't as bad. The women that are less right for you, and I don't know why this is, but I always felt more torn apart. Maybe because it was wrong and my brain is trying to figure out why is this nightmare happening. Whereas on the other aspect, all I can put it down to is it was never a nightmare, it was good, and I understand why we mutually parted ways, and it was amicable and it was good and I wish them well. So the wrong kind of people F you up a lot and make you question yourself, and it's a roller coaster, and what you're left with is 10 times more of that. Whereas when it's good and there's a lot of trust, I feel like afterwards it was a lot better. The breakups were better, easier on both sides. Whereas the recovery with someone who's completely wrong, when you're not abiding by your values, when you're tolerating a lot, it's much, much worse. Let me know what you guys think actually as well under this video when it's up. That'd be interesting to sort of note. It might give me some ideas about a further video. Phil, how do you deal with losing motivation after being crimson pilled? Again, motivation. I think I discussed it earlier on. Don't look to be motivated. It's akin to kind of, how can I be happy? How can I be motivated? It's like a buzz that makes you feel buoyant, and then you can kind of feel better and do things. If you know the kind of things you should be doing, take a small step in that direction. Or if you find it hard, the hardest thing is actually getting to it. So when you know what you should be doing, whether it's exercise or getting off your ass in some way or doing something, even if you really, really don't want to and you're not motivated, make yourself do it for 5 minutes. 99% of the time, you end up staying longer. So the hardest bit is to get to the table. Everything in you doesn't want to. I don't know why, that's human nature. But everything in you resists doing the thing you know you should do. So what you can do is say, you know what, F it. Let me just do it for 5 minutes. And if I still feel like I don't want to do it, then it gives me permission to leave. At least I gave it a shot. At least I sat down for 5 minutes, whatever that thing you want to do is. Then you won't need motivation. All you need is that trigger of going, I don't care how I feel, I'm just going to sit down for 5 minutes and do the thing I need to do. And after 5 minutes, then I can go back to being, a resistant kind of unmotivated person. Most of the time, you end up successfully doing the things you find it hard to motivate yourself to do. Yeah, Dirk says, have you considered putting a 10-minute cute cat in your videos? I should do that, actually. I should just stroke a cat or have a dog in front of me while I talk about my subjects and title the video, you know, Cute Fido rolls around. Look at my cute dog. Sam, do you go on many dates? No. I find the whole experience exhausting and I lose interest the more I go on. I have been on many. It's tiresome. I agree. That's why I don't go on many dates. The quality of personalities out there is atrocious. And that's not even saying anything about the physical appearance of people. At my age, either women have sort of like Botoxed themselves up where they look like Mickey Rourke in drag, or their personalities are just like they haven't moved from their 18-year-old selves. Again, a combination of something in between. Karu, hey man, he says the reason it's harder with someone who's wrong for you is because of emotionality. It's the only thing you have. Yeah, relationships that work have a rational basis. That's probably it. That's actually a good point. Thanks, Karu. He always comes up with good points. Yeah, because the relationships that were good, they were rational. The wrong ones were emotional, and so when they break up, you just crank up the emotion to 100. There's no rationality base. That's actually a really good point. I've got to remember that one. I won't waste time writing it down because I'll hold things up. But yeah, remind me next time we chat, Karu. I want to ask you about that. I want to write it down. I think it'll be a good one for another video. G. Gered says, how could someone get over dating fatigue? I have been going on dates, but I am not present at all. Yeah, been there too, sitting in front of someone saying, like, I'd rather be home watching a movie or writing or doing or mowing my lawn. I've been going on dates, but I'm not present at all. After my bad experience in relation, I can't be bothered trying anymore. I noticed this particularly when you start dating before you're ready as well. If you were really kind of in love with someone, it took you a while, and you kind of feel like, I just want to go out there and have a bit of fun and get back on the horse, so to speak, and socialize and sort of leave it in my rearview mirror quicker. When you do it too quickly, you don't have fun. So there's that. But if you're well and truly over your ex and you've got dating fatigue because of what I mentioned, like the quality of people out there, you just can't, you don't tolerate what's not you anymore. It's normal. What are you supposed to do? Pretend to be happy on a date? You got to genuinely be happy. And if you keep meeting people who aren't your kind of people, then what are you supposed to do? Better to be alone, a little frustrated, and maybe have your down days here and there, rather than just pick someone, tolerate someone just so you're not alone, and then you're miserable your whole life. Tyler says, happiness is the shadow cast by meaning. Chase the shadow directly and you never get to it. Well said. Harry Scapane says, would you share a closer look of images on your back wall? Oh, they're nothing really. They're just kind of postcards I picked up over the years, just for colour actually. 90% of them don't have any meaning. I just kind of put them up there visually to be more interesting than like a blank wall. So this is just making me purposely making the frame look more nice and interesting than it otherwise would. So believe me, it's nothing much. Might as well just cut out pictures from magazines and stick them up of different colours to get that effect, because it's not in focus. It's just all colour. That's why I put it there. Chris says, human do believe there is purpose. I found freedom in decoupling from it and living simply. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's fate. I don't think we have much control, free will, other than in the moment if you actually consciously think about choosing option A and option B wisely, other than those moments. But in terms of purpose, you create your own if you have the drive and will to do it. Otherwise, it's given to you or created for you by others and the world and just life itself. Adriano, thank you very much for the donation. He says, you need a cigarette prop like Paul. Yeah, I've usually got my coffee. Falco says, how was the live with Hamster? It didn't go ahead. Had technical difficulties. I don't know if it was my end. But yeah, I was trying to connect and it was just looping and I was saying waiting. So we're going to try and do it again next week, and this time we'll try and sort of get together earlier and test it out, just so we can sort of do a test run. Sorry about that, guys, and sorry to Hamster too. He sort of put up a couple of videos trying to showcase it, and yeah, I hope it wasn't on my end, because I don't like letting people down. But yeah, it didn't happen. Sorry. Neil says, online dating is the fastest way to depression. That's not as funny as it kind of sounds on the surface. It was always difficult and challenging with women, but like I said, you used to do it with your friends meeting other friends and other girls, like going out. It was challenging enough then, but you had to be more of yourself. You could learn lines and pick up lines and all that kind of stuff, but more or less you were physically there, your mannerisms, your inflections and your subtleties, like talking to another person, that would get read and translated, unless you're a sociopath, which there's not too many of them around, although you could argue differently today. But now online, everyone's just acting. Everyone's got curated personalities and profiles and social media feeds. So it's the fastest way to depression. Like, you don't know what you're getting. You're just constantly getting disappointed by fake people because no one wants to kind of expose who they are. It's terrible. No wonder less guys are dating and getting married. Like, why would you? It's so unreal. And I don't mean unreal in a good way. I mean unreal, literally. It's unreal and disappointing. Good reality is the most rewarding thing I found. Tom, human, do you believe in consuming or producing culture? Producing. The more we consume, the less we find our purpose. Yep. Remember, guys, if you want to ask a question, lots of emojis. Let's go to another comment. Did that one? Tom said about my video, How to Feel Better, Stop Chasing Happiness. He said, too many believe happiness is an adjective, the wise understand it's a verb. Yeah, a doing. And a couple of questions today that I tried to answer point to that. They're kind of talking about, I can't get motivated. Try and find a way to take a step and let yourself off the hook, saying, well, when I've taken the first step, if I still don't want to do it, I can go back to sitting on the couch or doing nothing or being lazy. But the hardest thing is to start, and the start is the doing, the verb. And whether you like it or not, guys get fulfillment in doing. We're human doings. The trick is we don't want to be wasteful human doings, doing for society and women for no reason, for no reward. So happiness is a verb. It is. It's really something you don't just think about and talk about. You know, this knowledge in the manosphere, it's not just theory. It really needs to be ethical practice. So try and make it easier, guys. It's the best thing I can say. Whatever you're unmotivated about, you know, so you say you want to be motivated, right? So that suggests you kind of know what you'd like to be doing or where you'd like to be leaning towards, but you're just not motivated to do it. Try and find something or a way of thinking or a mechanism or a permission or a routine to give yourself to be able to do that thing. Like I said, I've mentioned in a few of my videos, some things that I do. I make exercise enjoyable because I listen to audiobooks or podcasts or spoken word or download YouTube videos to listen to in my headphones or stream them while I'm walking. So I find an enjoyable activity to do within the thing I'm trying to motivate myself for, if I find it hard, if you know what I mean. Or if I'm going to sketch, I have music playing in the background. There's something I can enjoy while I'm working. So usually to motivate yourself, you're feeling like it's work. Inject something fun into the work to make the work enjoyable so you don't have to motivate yourself as much. And so then you can give yourself permission to do that first 5 minutes of, just do it. So I hope that was helpful. Alan says, do you think you will ever get into a relationship with a woman again, or that time has passed? I've always had the door open, but as I've gotten older, as I've dated, I kind of I really have a sense of who I am now and what I suppose I can trip and fall like anyone else. None of us are perfect, but compared to who I was 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, like I just feel like I'm more and more clearer in terms of my values and who I won't let into my life anymore. And it's mostly a person who doesn't share my values. So the door's always open. I never want to close it off to life, right? And so same with my living life and feeling alive and being active and creating and stuff. A lot of people kind of go, oh, well, you're this age, you need to stop. Believe me, like I had family members telling me to stop playing basketball when I was in my late 20s because, I was getting old. You're going to hurt yourself. I played until I was in my early 40s, until physically I was getting too many injuries and the recovery time was too much. But I want to be as active and alive as possible. And with women, like I've got the door open, but there's a very strict dress code to get into my club now. Whereas before it was like, you'll do. I'm lonely. You seem like fun. Whereas now it's kind of values, similarities, my kind of person. So the door's still open, but it's not like I've never thought my standards were high. I thought mine were kind of fairly normal. But apparently they're too high for people these days. I don't know. It's really, you've got to find your kind of person. The more you know yourself, the more you can't actually take something that's not you. That's the simplest way I can put it. The more you stand up for yourself, internally, the no comes really quickly. And I've become really good later in life in verbalizing, as you can probably tell. Like my kind of lexicon in talking to people, I'm pretty good now. Whereas when I was younger, this was all internal. I'd write all this stuff in my journals. I'd do a lot of creativity and writing and keep all these thoughts and ideas to myself and dare not speak it. But later on, I kind of switched on to kind of learning to express and saw that this was the missing part of life, not just to know this stuff and believe it, but to want it through here, through my thoughts and words. So I've got the door open, but I'm not chasing women, if that makes sense. Yeah, for any of the trolls, I've given a couple of people wrenches. So the guys with the wrenches that I trust, feel free to boot trolls off. Patty, my kingdom for any woman that doesn't ask first up on the first date, what car you drive, what's your job, etc. Cheers, human from Sydney. Love your work. Thanks, man. Hydrostatic human is teaching me how to interact as a human being again. I guess my exes convinced me I'm a human doing. Men are human doings in a lot of respects, even for themselves, but women just kind of try and convince you you are human doings just for her and her dream of family and children and everything. And if you're lucky, she'll give you, scraps of time after everyone goes to bed at night where you can stay up for 1 or 2 hours getting bloodshot eyes working in the shed on your project and being left alone and actually being yourself. Adriano, thanks for the donation. He says, your thoughts on Andrew O'Keefe's assault charge? I don't know much about it. I heard about it. I don't know much. Is he that guy on Deal or No Deal? If it is, yeah, I don't like that guy very much. Bit of a hypocrite. Wasn't he awful? Wasn't he campaigning? He was one of the spokesmen of, not giving your missus a backhand. And then all of a sudden he's been accused of doing the exact same thing. If that's the same person, I'm not sure. I don't watch a lot of media. It just drives me nuts. It's like you could spend it's become entertainment by this stage. Like media politics, it's become social media entertainment. It's become reality TV. Blef is, thank you very much for the donation. His question is, could you elaborate about Stoicism in modern times? Is it valid? Yes, I think it is. Positive philosophy is right for our... Is it valid? A positive philosophy is right for our time. I always consider myself a pessimist in philosophical terms. No, I wouldn't suggest be... first of all, I think Stoicism is always valid. It's a very male-leaning way of thinking rationally about thinking in connection to life. But I would say that I wouldn't suggest being a pessimist, but be a skeptic more or less. Pessimism suggests you're always negative, but it's good to question why on the outset. If you kind of have an instinct going, hang on a minute, let me think about this, or the first instinct is to say, what if this isn't true? But don't just say no all the time and be a negative machine. Otherwise, you might not always have the best judgment, because you're always just going to be the opposite of whatever's thrown at you. If you're always pessimistically approaching everything. What's the term? Skepticism is sanity. But I think Stoicism, especially in these times, the way guys are treated, is definitely a philosophy that's made a massive resurgence. I mean, in the manosphere especially, the main book that's recommended is Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. So it's timeless. Lucid Dream, MGTOW says, question for human. Do you think women control the social narrative? Yes. Or are they wired to please men and they are acting as the abusers for blue pill or wannabe? Yeah. They're being controlled. Women are kind of easily controlled by media. Like, they knew they couldn't do it to men. They couldn't sort of say, throw your women under the bus, guys. Become a masculinist, and your women are oppressing you and they're forcing you into marriage, and, you know, they're your prison wardens and blah, blah, blah. Most men will look at their wives and daughters and they'll say, what are you talking about, man? I love my wife, my daughter. You know, you're not going to... There's a lot of honor that took time for men to be convinced of with their men and the women in their lives. And some stranger or the media just telling you, no, you should throw these people that you've learned to trust under the bus that you've got no reason to betray. Guys go, nah, F you, man. You've got to give me a better reason than that. Get lost. I see you're the one that's trying to manipulate me, not them. Whereas with women, they did it to women, and women said, okay. It's like, here, we'll give you cash and prizes. They just throw your husbands and fathers and grandfathers and sons under the bus. Yeah, okay. I'll be able to shop. Sure, I'll do that. So they know they can push women's internal buttons a lot easier than men's, because a lot of men always kind of reflex to hang on a minute, because we tend to cooperate with each other. And if we've learned to trust our fellow man, there better be a very good reason why I betray him, because, as I've said in the video, there's nothing beyond man. So if there's nothing beyond me, and so another man that looks like me, who's a brother that I trust, that helps me in my life. And if someone external just comes by and says, oh, human, get rid of him. No, F you, man. Like, this person and me are like this. Give me a good reason. And they can't give me a good reason, because it's not a rational reason. Whereas women, they backstab each other left, right, and center from every 5 minutes. You look at them in the schoolyard. Women hate each other. They backstab each other. They manipulate each other. They're very transient. They're used to playing musical chairs. They're used to distrusting each other. Yeah, sure, on the surface, women will all band together and say the sisterhood. It's because they're alone. They don't really trust each other. On the surface, they lie. What's the saying? They say men pretend to be hard on each other, but we aren't. Women pretend to compliment and love each other, but they don't. So women operate in exactly the opposite way. Mr. Highway says, I've found that being around women scratches my itch to be in a relationship, but without the commitment. What have you tried that works in taming your biological drug addiction for females? Having not just a lot of things that I do in my life, because sort of I'm more of a solitary person, but when I do engage with people, I have a good core small group of family and friends. You know, a family that I can... Close family I'll probably count on one hand that I regularly catch up with from week to week, and also similarly on the other hand, another 5 very close friends that I can count on. And I'm always like mixing through the week, making time to see them. It's a nice balance. I do this stuff. I'm solitary, I'm introspective, I create stuff, I'm on my own, and I get recharged. And then as a kind of break to balance the other human aspect of me, the social aspect, I get recharged by the good people in my life and going out to see them and going for a walk and getting out into the world by, you know, going for a walk around my area. I'm not a social butterfly, but having things to do, a lot of great things that you love doing, hobbies and pastimes, and you might be starting a business or doing any of that stuff. But wherever you're spending a lot of your personal time focused and obsessed with, have a lot of that or varied aspects of that. And then also the people you have in your life, make sure they're quality people that you make an effort to see and make time for. A lot of people actually take people for granted, their friends and family, and they don't see them. I try and make an effort to see people because I want to, selfishly, I want to see them for me, and I know it's good overall. Whereas if you kind of sit back, it's like, no, you come and visit me. or your hobbies, it's kind of like, no, you come to me. You've got to take the step forward selfishly for yourself to get a lot out of life. That's my perspective anyway. Yeah, Professor, so the door's open, but you have a doorman checking the guest list. Pretty much. That's the way I see sort of women in relationships. So the club is open, and no one's in there, but it's a very strict guest list of who can get in. I used to let a lot of people in, and not just lovers, friends too. But now it's quality over quantity, a simpler life, a more minimalist life, and I like it like that. Okay, guys. Some more questions. Oh, Nils says, thoughts on this Valentine's Day. Why does it seem to be aimed for men to treat their women and hope for some action in the end? It's about all, it kind of shows you, it's about all men get. They get a few minutes in the day, but the rest of the day is really for the woman. It's like most of life with men and women. Men want very little, and women want... This is the thing, when women sort of say, oh, you men, you want one thing. But men need to kind of realize it's like, yeah, you want everything though. I want one thing. You want everything. I'm talking about the average guy, right? For me, it's actually, it benefits you when you don't just want that one thing. For myself, I've trained myself, and it's easier when you get older, but the more your mind comes into it, the more your values kind of go, you know what? Even sex with somebody is 10 times better when your values superseded that and made sure that person that you have sex with passes through the door and has got the qualities you want. So yeah, Valentine's Day, it's for women the whole day. They try and pretend. Like I've even heard stories where you ask a woman, you know, so what did you get your man for Valentine's Day? Well, I got him flowers and I took him out to dinner. It's like, God, what is he, a woman? There's just no concept of looking at it from a man's point of view. You know, did you do anything? The only time I remember a while ago, once I heard a woman speak about what she got her boyfriend for Valentine's, and I thought at least she sees her boyfriend or husband or whatever he was as a person. She understands him. She said, I got him a weekend away surfing with his friends. So she didn't even join them. So his Valentine's Day surprise was a weekend away. Maybe not that Valentine's Day weekend, maybe the week after or something, but to spend a weekend away with the boys. That was a gift to him. And I thought, that's brilliant. That's actually a woman caring about what a man wants. You know, what can I get for him? A lot of times women will reframe presents on occasions like Valentine's Days or anniversaries or Christmas or whatever holidays. It's like, don't you want this for us? Or don't you want to have kids for us? It's like, no, this is all for you. I'm just trying to keep you happy. That's most men's reflex. So the gaslighting is endless. Key himself, thank you for the donation. He says women's loyalty will always go to the biggest bidder. Kerry, human, the perfect husband. Never. Grey Matters, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it, man. Smart guy human says human is lucky to have some close friends. I don't really, just didn't happen for me. Yes and no. For many years, I just took them for granted. When I was with them, I didn't really engage with them. I didn't try to talk to them. And then, but in the last decade, I've really, with friends I've had for a long time, when I catch up, I really try and listen to them, what they're saying, and have conversations on that without using the pun, a human level. Whereas before they're passing conversations, you might not notice it, but a lot of people, you go on autopilot with your longtime friends, you're not really speaking to them, you're speaking to them in the way that you did maybe when you were a teenager. Try and engage with people in the way that you are now. You'll have a better chance of getting rid of people who really, or spending less time with people that really aren't for you, but then you might rediscover people who you really have a connection with now that before you were just on autopilot and half asleep with. So that's another wonderful thing I've learnt with family and friends. I've rediscovered them again because I've changed a bit. I'm listening. I'm trying to connect deeper with people, if that kind of makes sense. So don't disregard that. It's not kind of like, oh, I'll get rid of the old, in with the new. Sometimes the old has always been there, but you've been asleep or not looking at it from the right perspective. And I wasn't just lucky enough to have those friends. I actually, I valued a lot of those friendships over the long term, and they've proven themselves, and I maintain them. If they are good friends, I make an effort, and even more so when I get older, because I know the value of good people in your life when you get older. When you're younger, you don't need to. At least when I was younger, you had a bigger social life. Ooh, we're nearly approaching 12 o'clock when I said this was going to start. All right, another question. Comment on one of the last videos on men who love women who act like brats. We're getting onto the latest video. TMAC473 says, it's like the challenge of breaking a wild horse. We don't want to give up. We foolishly want to prove we can tame them. If we could have all those years back, yeah. Men love the exhilaration, the risk, the small amount of danger, the horse that they want to tame, because somehow that wild horse equates to she'll be wild in the sack as well. And if you tame her, she'll finally be yours. But most of the time, you're not. You're saying yes to something that'll never be tamed, that they're always wild. And a lot of women have pride in that, like, you can't tame me. Can you keep up with me? You know, I'm too much for you to handle. It's like you're a wild horse that wants to be in charge. You're not. You can't be tamed. You don't want to be tamed. And also, for me, I don't want to tame a horse. You know, what am I, into bestiality or something? David P says about the video, men who love women who act like brats. He says, not in that boat at the moment, but rowed in a circle for many years. I thought that was a brilliant analogy, that many of us, we think we're rowing in a direction with a woman, but we're rowing in circles and we're wasting years by the time we kind of get off that boat. It's like we've got one oar going in circles. We think we're that's probably a good analogy, sitting in a rowboat, and you got one oar and you think the other person's got another one, and you're the only one rowing and you're just going around in circles, and she's expecting the relationship to go somewhere and she's not doing anything, or you're not in sync, you're not incompatible, and most of the time she's not even rowing. Black Magic 1087 says, Human, in your past videos you talked about how you were drawn to women who were nervous because of their sense of honesty. Are there any current things that women do that have the same effect? Look, honesty is a great thing, but before, more to the point, the nervousness that I was attracted to, there is honesty in that nervousness if it's genuine, but sometimes that nervousness could be in that moment, maybe they genuinely are, or they're being a bit vulnerable, but sometimes it could sort of belie some sneaky personality, because it's disarming when you see someone who's nervous, because, you know, most people you like, you're a bit nervous and you're a bit shy and you think, oh, great, this person's being genuine and open. But it could just be a nervousness about, I just like the way this person looks or makes me feel. So you're not nervous about the person's values and character. So you're not quite sure at the start. That's the tricky thing. So initially, if someone's not a loudmouth bimbo and they're nervous and quiet and almost an introvert, you think, oh, well, this person's got depth. We get along. Oh, this is my kind of person. But if you're not talking, if you're not kind of connecting on values, that could just be a covert narcissist or like a person with a lot of underlying issues that is being expressed as attractive nervousness. You think, oh, well, this person has some depth, but they don't. They just might be kind of broken and nervous and have a few scars, but you're misinterpreting it. Eyes open, and again, the more you know yourself, the better chance you'll have to sort of judge that. Donna, Valentine's Day is a 90-year-old is 90 years old, created by Ford car company to sell cars. Is that true? I knew it was created by somebody. Santa Claus was created by Coke. And so was Valentine's Day created by Ford? I thought it was created by greeting card companies. I'm not sure. Wouldn't surprise me. Ivan says, when you ask a woman, what would you bring into my life? What would you want to hear? Most times you don't hear anything. I asked 2 women this within the last month. And both of them were a little sort of shocked. They went silent for a minute because I don't think anyone asked anything of them, let alone that questions. One of them actually said, that's an interesting question. And they proceeded to try and answer it, which I thought was commendable. Yeah, it's good to ask a woman, what can she bring? What do you think about A, B, and C? What can you offer a man? What qualities do you have? What are your faults? Where do you think you need to improve? Just really, because too many guys go there believing they're perfect and not wanting to let them know they're anything but perfect. So you never ask them questions about themselves where they need to maybe admit all aspects of them, their faults, their shortcomings, their insecurities. It's all a man's internal monologue is, she's great, I don't want her to leave, I want to be with her. And so your mind always goes away from anything that won't get her to bed. Whereas I've always found it stupid where if I want to know about the person, I want to talk about everything. There's been so many times while I was out with friends and I would just talk about anything, and some of my friends would say, oh, human, why did you talk about that? That's not going to get you laid. It's like, well, I was interested. And a lot of times it didn't get me laid. But for me, it's not just about that. If there's something I really am interested in about the person that I want to know, why I feel like I want to ask. T-Mac 473, don't you find it hard to find people who also can't stand modern media? I find that almost everyone is sheeple. Depends on the circle of friends. That again, you pick quality people and you start having these quality conversations, and those sort of people agree. Like, yeah, media's garbage. I watch less TV. I don't watch politics that much. So you'll have less friends, but you'll have better quality friends. Alpha Dog Elite, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. Comic Injected, what are your thoughts on life, purpose, meaning, and happiness? Are the two synonymous, or can you have one without the other? Purpose is a direction. Purpose and meaning is a direction. You have to kind of know yourself and what you want. to find those, and happiness is a result of finding those first two things, I think, just generally. But that's a big topic. Hydrostatic says, so you did start early, human. I was wondering what was up. Yeah, I did start earlier. I got up earlier to do a live stream with Hamster. It didn't work out. I apologize to the Hamster for that. We'll try again next week. But since I was up earlier, I decided to start earlier, and now it's already past 12. Hopefully, get some more people. Hopefully it's not going to be too long. We'll go for another half an hour to 40 minutes if my mouth can hold out. Eric says, I'd rather tame a sheep than a horse. Yeah, true. Boffin, how are you, man? I'm going to give you the hammer as well. You have the power to... Oh, you've already got the power. What am I talking about? He says, women were key to dismantling the old order. Time has now elapsed, and the characteristics of the new order are becoming evident. Men are beginning to understand women are lost. Yeah, you want to dismantle a society? Focus on the women. I think even that small moustached guy in 1942 said something to the same effect. You don't try and get men. You don't try and change the minds of men. Get the women, you get everything else. You get the children, you get the men, you get society. So focus on the women, you get everything. So that's why the media is so heavily focused on women. You see talk shows, it's all women in your face. They're the experts. Whenever they cross to experts, it's always a female expert. They cross to like an accident, there's always a female reporting or a female firefighter. They always put the softer-faced, female-friendly person for you to trust. You look at life insurance as well and advertising. It's either a woman selling it to you or other women. Men like women and women trust other women these days much more than men. Or you've got a car insurance ad with, the scenario is always like the couple sitting down looking at car insurance, and the husband's like, what do we do? I have no idea. We're paying too much. And the smiling, calm housewife is like, just dial 1-800 blah, blah, blah. It's easy. And the guy's like, oh, that's great, dear. That's the story. Today we're just told women are geniuses. They're in charge. You trust women. Men are comedy relief. Yeah. Put women in charge. Focus on women. And you'll dismantle a society. And you'll exploit the society, control people. Make short-term monetary gains because women love shopping. They like quick turnover. They get bored easily with last week's pair of shoes. They need to buy another pair of shoes. Whereas a guy will save up half his life to buy that one car he wants. A man used to live life for the long term. Now, because the script is a female script, life is short-term. Everything's a quick turnover. Everything's very consumeristic. Nothing's retained. It's up to you to retain it. Tyler, oh yeah, Highway, Mr. Highway says, if you forgot to like the video, gently press the button at this time. Like and give me a thumbs up and subscribe, guys. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Tyler says, Seneca, a quote by him, before trust, you must pass judgment. This is why lying on the internet in relationships complicates everything. Yeah, I agree. Six Dharma. Any particular meaning behind the necklace, human? No. It's just the necklace. It's the only piece of jewelry I really wear, aside from my watch sometimes. I really just liked it because it looked like something from a sunken ship wreckage. It's really, really cool. But I later found out it's a pair of handcuffs. So maybe it's a subliminal kinky side of me. I don't know. I think it's a necklace by Alexander McQueen. If any of you want to look it up, I don't know if you can find it. But I think it's really cool. Yeah, good watch stuff. I thought it was Hallmark as well, the greeting card company that came up with Valentine's Day. The GC, yeah, it's not a ring, it's a necklace. I was just kind of doing this before. So, Key himself, thank you for the donation. He says, why don't men crap test women more often? It helps. Exactly. And I always say men should. Just by asking questions, man. You go on a date, ask everything. Why did you break up with your last ex? What don't you like about guys? Most guys don't want to ask any questions. They want to be an agreeable yes machine. But here's a stupid thing. She's usually the more passive one. She's not going to say much. She's not going to open up. She probably expects you to talk more. So you might as well, for your own sake, ask every question you want to filter her through whether or not you want to waste any time with this person. For the simple fact is, it's your life, man. Ask the important questions that will get you to know whether your values are similar, that you want to see them again. So it's not just a crap test, it's like a life, like ask the important questions. You'll enjoy the relationship with her short or long term that much better. Rather than saying, yes, 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 I just want to get you to bed. And then after that, it's like, oh, can you believe women? Well, can you believe you as well? Like you didn't care about your filtering system. You just drank anything. It's like, this water tastes awful. You didn't sort of put it through a hygiene test first. Let's see, any more? Raffle K says about the video Men Who Love Women Who Act Like Brats. When you see the world through rose-colored glasses, red flags look just like flags. That's a very good point. So if you're not self-reflective, if you're not sort of trying to find your own values and your own moral philosophies and speak them, if you still got those rose-colored glasses on, then you don't notice the red flags. Everything just looks like a nice flag. Not even a flag. Everything looks like a white flag, a pretty blue or green one, but never a red one. So educate yourself, learn to think and speak better, gentlemen. I think it's the only way forward as an individual guy. If you're going to go your own way, you got to think for yourself. You got to speak for yourself. You can't go on autopilot. Yeah, she might be hot. Yeah, the job might pay well. What's your life going to be like, really? It's not hard to see. You know, just you can rationally project a week ahead, a month, a year, or a couple of years ahead. What's life like going to be like with this person, in this lifestyle, in this job? Don't throw your life away, guys. James, on my video, Men Who Love Women Who Act Like Brats, he said, my ex treated me like a doormat and that I was lucky to have her. Her attitude towards people and life was that everything was there to serve her. Yeah, there's a lot of women like that. I unfortunately ignored my gut. Yes, don't do this, guys. A lot of guys confuse, it's my feelings. A man doesn't listen to his feelings. Women do that. And I'm not a woman, so I'm going to go with what I've created here in this relationship. I'm going to stick to that no matter what. It's like, no, you've got a gut instinct too. Listen to it. It's what you were ignoring at the start. He says, I unfortunately ignored my gut. Lesson learned. If it doesn't feel right, yes, don't ignore your feelings, guys. Don't shy away from feelings just because you think it's a female thing. Your feeling is your gut instinct that's telling you something. When you feel something, use your logic and go, okay, Why am I feeling like this? So let me look at the situation. Use your logic to interpret your feelings. If it doesn't feel right and leads you feeling confused rather than at peace, get the F out. Life is too short. I agree 100%, James B. 100%. So get out if it doesn't feel right. Ask yourself why it doesn't feel right. If it feels good, ask yourself why it feels good on either case. Because when initially, if you're getting along with someone, that's great. You don't ask questions, it all feels good. There's no risk, you're getting to know each other. But also ask when it feels good too, because then it can confirm, like rationally, I know why this feels good. I know by principle and philosophically and by moral character and by their ethics and my ethics, it matches. I can rationally point to why this is good. Not just my emotions agree with it, but all sides agree with it. That's when you know it's good. Doesn't happen very often. It's like Bigfoot, but the best chance you got is to trust your instincts, trust your feelings as a guy, and put them through the filter of your intellect and your rational and cognitive faculties, just so you can actually put that last little tick on your feelings. JJ, hey man, have you dropped in before? I see you on my comments, but under videos, but I don't know if I've seen you or very often in the in my streams. Good to have you here. You're another person that I will add as a moderator because I like your work. So now you have the wrench, JJ. If anyone's being a troll, you can kick them off. Sam says, I can't wait to get a dog. They give so much joy and loyalty to your life. They say it's true. They are really your best friend. Yeah. I mean, like a lot of these sayings, they don't kind of say a woman's a man's best friend. And the basis of any good relationship is a good friendship. So then why are dogs man's best friend? A creature, put it this way, man value intellect, reason, logic. Why is a creature that can't even speak logically more trustworthy and a better friend? It's because of the actions. So women say a lot. You need to watch their actions. Dogs say nothing, but their actions speak everything. So, yeah, it tells you a lot. Nikos says, any more Proteus response videos? Probably not. I think I've made a couple. I've talked to I talked to Spetsnaz as well about it. I'll certainly reference him in videos because he said some great things. Look, unless I want to do another farewell video on a very specific topic centered around him, I think I've said my piece. I love that guy. Smith, I regret the chance of never having spoken to him and recorded a great conversation with him, because I think we really would have had a nice chat with each other. Yeah, JJ says never ignore your gut. Exactly. Don't ignore your gut, guys. Listen to your gut. Always have a great relationship and conversation with a guy. It's the only thing that's going to save you. If you don't listen to your gut, women are just going to take you on their roller coaster, and they're going to tell you what to trust. I mean, your gut is you. Like, if you don't trust you and your gut, what are you going to trust? Ah, so JJ, I wasn't wrong. This is the first time you dropped in. Cool. Mr. Highway says, since going my own way, I understand freedom. Yeah, it's because you're going your way for once and thinking your way. There are many great subconscious burdens men bear. I don't need to work 60 hours a week when 30 will do. Exactly. Men are walking through life with a ball and chain. That was one of the things I noticed as well many years ago. About, was it 10? 8 to 10? I took a big leap and left a soul-destroying corporate job in the city where I was working overtime 5 days a week and barely getting errands and washing and life done on the Saturday, and then Sunday was the only bracket of time left to just relax, watch a movie, or catch up with friends. And so, 85% of the week was to other things and everyone else, and I barely got to sort of spend 10 to 15% for myself. And I decided, no, I don't have kids, I don't have family, I don't have a lot of expenses, I'm a minimalist kind of guy. Why am I working this much? And I was throwing my money away on a lot of rubbish, including women, in relationships that required a lot of financial maintenance. And I'm talking just about going places and just spend money left, right, and center. And then, I just quit. I took a year off, and I vowed that I would have a better balance of life, and now I do it. So I have more time free, much more time free through the week for myself, my hobbies, my interests, and most importantly, my family and friends and people that matter. You don't want to get to later life thinking, I worked a lot, made a lot of money, and then your world is dark or black and white. You don't have friends. You don't have any human connection. Don't waste your time, guys. Yeah, dogs love unconditionally, they do. But look, we love conditionally, men and women. Like, you can't expect a woman to put up with being treated like crap by a guy. I mean, objectively treated like crap. And neither should we. If we're treated like crap in a relationship, or you're married or whatever, you shouldn't tolerate it as well. But the point is, beforehand, you have a standard of having self-respect for yourself first, and then each other too. So human love is conditional. Dog's love is unconditional. Yeah, we love it. You can be a drunk and your dog will love you. But human relationship, you can't sort of, you have to put in sort of work for yourself. You got to have some self-respect first, and respect the relationship you have with the other person, romantically, platonically. Look at your friends. If you're an a-hole with your friends, you're not going to have any friends. JJ said, life is about balance. Even a strength taken too far becomes a weakness. Yeah, no one ever laid on their deathbed and thought to themselves, gee, I should have spent more time back at work. Exactly. This is an important point by Mr. Highway. He says, after getting pilled, guys find themselves losing motivation. That is your psyche telling you that you were doing way too much from the beginning. Just chill and play PS5 if that is you. Yeah, your mind and your life is so conditioned to operate in a certain way, especially for others and life and society and women and stuff. When you finally kind of go, hey, I exist, all of a sudden there's this massive empty space because you say no to the superfluous. Unfortunately, it's a massive space and it's a bit intimidating now. So now you've got to learn to self-reference and go, what do I want to do? And it's almost like convincing yourself that, like, yeah, playing PS5 the whole weekend is okay if I've got a couple of good friends. The quality of what I do in my time now is important. It doesn't matter how much superficial quantity I have, whether it's women, places, shopping, work, money, things like that. Yeah, life is about balance. Life is about balance, good quality balance. Not a lot. Don't try and balance and spin a lot of plates, but very good quality, minimalist balance, I think. Shadow Ghost, thank you very much for the super chat donation. He says, confused neotenous female and her squad of beta battle a post-war drama queen and an army of flying KUCKS for a pair of shoes. Paul Proteus. Thanks for Sandman for this gem on Paul's view on Wizard of Oz. Yeah. Yeah, Paul was great, not as a guy, but he just had a lot of seminal videos, and he didn't make many of them. So he was an example of really good quality. He made a couple of videos that were pretty just entertainment based, but they were still great to watch. But when he made a poignant video, it was really, really seminal. George says, dogs will love you unconditionally so long as you keep feeding the dog. Don't feed the dog, and the dog will wait for you to die, then will eat you. Steve, I put my money in my sports car. It leaks fluids less often, debates less often, provides more valuable feedback, and doesn't lose control unless I lose control. All right, how long have we been going for now? Nearly 2 hours. Coming up to 2 hours. Guys, if you got any final questions, shoot them at me. This has been a long one, but let's not try and go over 2 hours. Shoot me any of your final questions, and I'll answer them, and then we'll call it a day. I got a lawn to mow. Hopefully it won't rain. Yeah, that's a good point. Donna says, think of the money we are saving today. Yeah. One thing I love is if you do go out on the road, we're in lockdown here in Melbourne till mid next week. I love if I have to go to the supermarket or something. The roads are empty. My favourite thing about lockdown is it's just so easy on the road. It just seems... It's like I Am Legend with a few people thrown in. It's wonderful. JJ says, the reason we have stray cats is there are women that even stray cats cannot tolerate. Yeah, it's true. That's probably why nature gave cats the ability to jump fences. Neil says, do most married couples shame and nag on their single friends because they feel they're missing out on good times? Possibly. I've had once or twice my male friends tell me in private, they ask me, Human, can I swap your life just for a weekend, please? I need a break. Whereas I don't find myself saying the same thing. I go visit them on at a barbecue, and it's kind of nice, but you kind of see their life, and sometimes it's like, it's enough of that. 2 hours is enough. If my friends weren't there, it would have been 5 minutes. Yeah, I already had coffee, Lestat. I finished it. We started the stream today at 10:30. I was up earlier, so I already had my coffee. I'm not going to get up and pause and make another one. I'm not that rude. Yes, lockdown in Melbourne here. Alright guys, unless there's any more questions, let's wrap it up. We've got about 340 people concurrently on at the moment. If you want to ask any final questions, make sure it's bracketed with a whole bunch of emojis. Otherwise, let's call it a day. I'll wait 5 minutes until the screen catches up in case I miss any of the final questions, and then we'll wrap it up. It's nearly 12:30 in the afternoon here in Melbourne. Nils, it's 2:25 in Arctic Norway. Ooh, that'd be a place I want to visit, Norway. I love cold climates because they're less populated, they're cooler, they're quieter. I think of hot climates, I just think of it being Mars and a lot of tourists but yeah, what does it say about my personality though? Nils mentions the Arctic and I salivate. Alright guys. What does Mr. Highway say? Everybody that's married is miserable. I know that is not a lifestyle I can give into. Oh, look, I know some married guys in my life that are happy. They got married when they were young, though, in their early 20s. But I don't... look, I know, aside from my sister, I don't know anyone who got married later that's happy. I've come across more people who got married later in life that it's just like divorced, single mothers, second marriage, blah, blah, blah. Zaman 2020, thank you very much for the donation. His comment is, next time I'll have a pen and paper handy, thank you. Thanks for the donation and dropping in, man. Mr. Highway, and mosquitoes. As in the benefits of colder climates, yes. Yeah, there's just so many positives to colder climates. Sleeping is better. Getting warmer. It's easier to get warmer than it is when it's really hot to get cooler. Or even if you've got the air conditioning on, if you try and write, there's a lot of humidity. It's not as comfortable. JJ says, I assume that you're a natural introvert. Predominantly an introvert, but I'm what you classify as an omnivert or an ambivert. I'm at core an introvert who's learned to socialize. So I'm fairly confident out in the world and with people, but by nature, I feel most comfortable. I get energized in solitude or with small groups of people or in intimacy or that kind of thing more than... There's a lot of people who get energized by being gregarious and in social situations and at rock concerts and things like that. All right, let's wrap it up and call it a day, guys. So I can get to mowing my lawn if it doesn't rain. And we'll catch up next time, and I'll shoot you a couple more videos during the week. Remember to subscribe, hit the like button. Share my videos around, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. It's free. It helps me out, grows the channel. So yeah, I'll talk to you later, guys. Have a really good Sunday. And for you lucky few who have a good woman in your life, half your luck. Otherwise, enjoy this Valentine's Day on your own. Enjoy it in a happy way. However, all right, I'll catch you guys later. Bye.